Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Player's Take, episode 129. I'm your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my co-host. He hates anime, Montrell Rice.
I do not hate anime.
I mean,
Hey, what's up,
you
everybody?
said it on Twitter earlier today, man. Like,
I said I don't know if I like anime anymore.
okay, well, I mean, not liking is the same as hate, right?
No, it's just I don't know how to explain it. I just haven't watched good anime in a while.
I know what you mean.
Uh,
I
I
I was like in an anime binge a couple months ago, and as I got deeper into that binge, I kind of like towards the tail end of it, I was like really kind of getting off put on anime because I started watching like new shows. Like I the last show I watched was Jujutsu Kaisen, right? And everybody's raving about this show, and I'm like, man, I watched it. And I'm like, it's good, I guess. It's. I mean, I do like it. It's just it's not like blowing my hair back. Is it me? Is there something wrong with me, man? Like, because yeah, I
probably
feel
because
I
that
feel
show is
similar to you,
amazing.
dude. Man, I don't know. It just feels like a shonen. It's got interesting. I guess it's got an interesting world for sure, but you know, I'm not. I'm not like hype about it. So I mean, I know what you mean. It's
hmm
I do feel like anime, like when you watch enough of it, it all starts to blend together at a certain point, especially if you're in a shonen-ish area with anime.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think it's because, well, mainly for me, I know I mainly watch shonen, and I tried to like branch out and watch other anime. The problem is I don't want to watch trash in those other genres, right? I want to watch the best so I can know what to expect from that genre anime.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is I don't have time to go out and look for those best of the best of those genres, or even like 7 out of 10s or 6 out of 10s in those genres, because I'll take that. The only genre that I've been able to go into, and sorry if I got a lisp, I kind of bit my lip earlier this week and it's really sore. Uh,
I didn't even notice.
but uh, earlier, I tried to like dive into another anime or whatever, or another genre, which is I think it's called seinen, which is a seinen or something like that. Seinen, which is pretty much like the grown up version of shonen. It's designed for adults 25 and up, I believe. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like they have the same like power tropes, but it's a little bit more darker and stuff like that. So I mean, I did find some of those really cool, but some of them are like really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Either they're super sexual or
Mm-hmm.
uh then you got some good ones like Psychopaths is a good one. Um
Mm-hmm.
it's another one that just came out, I forgot the name of it, but that's a good one as well. It's on Amazon. It's one of their animes they made. And that's a good one as well. And there's some other ones out there too. I'm pretty sure you guys can find them. So that's a good genre to get into if you're trying to get out of shonen. It's like a step up from shonen. It has more character development. The episodes aren't as long, or the series aren't as long. Usually they're like maybe 25 to 50 episodes a season, if there
Yeah.
isn't if there even the second season.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to get into like more, I guess, like the comedy animes and the
Some good ones.
rom-com animes, yeah. Or even just like thrillers, or like, I don't
Yeah.
know. I still have that
Dramas.
list of Yeah, I still have that list of anime that you told me about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to get through that as well, but
You gotta
I
watch
haven't
that,
had time.
man.
Yeah, I haven't had time to get to them though. So
Okay.
it's just it's been pretty hectic. But besides that, like, yeah, like I had to watch Welcome to NHK, Bakano, Knights of Sidonia, and stuff like that. So I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
try to watch those. But besides that, I've been having the same funk with video games as well. Like, I really haven't been playing video games. I've been playing like the same two games. I really just need something to jump in and have some fun and jump out, because I'm studying for like certifications and everything like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I've just been playing a lot of multiplayer games, because I can, like Apex and League of Legends, because I can just jump into those, and even Ion, I can just jump into those and then jump out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to really invest myself in like learning mechanics or
Hmm.
remembering storylines or anything of that nature. So it's just been I'm just been fatigued all around because I've been focused on other stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel similar. Yeah, another genre for anime that I've watched, I have a weird soft spot for is isekai, which is those like virtual world animes like Sword Art Online and Log Horizon and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
uh, some of them are very bad, but I don't know
At least you
why
can
though.
admit it.
The concept though fascinates me. So I have a thing for those for whatever reason. But so I don't know. It's just I think I just need to get out of the shonen realm for a while. Is just there's just too many of them and they're all so fucking similar. I think that's what happened with Jujutsu Kaisen. Like I know everybody thinks it's amazing, but to me it's just another shonen to me. Like it's not that different from it. Yeah, sure. Like the style of it, the aesthetic of it, and even some of the like it's a little darker than your typical shonen, but at the end of the day, it's still shonen. Like your character,
I like it because it
the main
actually,
character's power ascension has been crazy fast. In like the first season, and I imagine the fights are going to get absurd in the second season. So,
yeah. I mean, I like it because it actually makes fun of the shonen tropes.
mhm.
So that's why I like it. It's actually like a deconstruction of shonen when you watch it. That's the way I watch it.
Mm.
And the fights are good, but like it's just a deconstruction of shonen because they make a lot of tropes. Like him, instead of doing a long training arc, he watched movies and got punched
Yeah,
by a bear. You know,
yeah,
so
right.
so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, which yeah, I mean, there's some cleverness there and funny stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched anime in a couple months now, so I think I'm taking my break from it. But well, Montreal. Otherwise, I mean, how's life, man? Anything going on in your life?
I just got a new job, so that's pretty cool.
Right.
Um,
Congratulations. That's
y-
awesome.
yeah, so I'm happy to be. If, once again, just in case anyone's from my old job listening, not that they know I had this podcast, but anyway, I didn't have a problem with my old job. It was just not in the career field I wanted to go to. I love the people there and everything of that nature. But yeah, I found a new job. I will tell people if you are searching for a new job, all 16 of our listeners, this is definitely a job seekers market,
Hmm.
and get out there and look because I think in September, yeah, next month actually, yeah, a lot of uh benefits are going to be going up from the government. So a lot of people are going to be looking for jobs, and it's not going to be a job seekers market. Like right now, you can probably get your asking wage if you really want it, depending on your skill set and everything like that. Like that was the case for me. They instantly gave me what I wanted, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm taking it. And it was something I couldn't turn down. So the reason I asked you too, Justin, why how long it takes you to get to work, because I think I'll be driving the same amount of distance. I'll
Hmm.
be driving like maybe 45 minutes to work every day.
Hmm. It's
So that's
okay.
what,
It's
yeah.
doable. It. I think after a long enough period of time, it definitely grates on me personally.
Hmm.
But if you can deal with it, then you'll be fine. But
Okay.
I mean, yes, I don't want to bring the podcast down too far here, but I do want to. I don't know. We haven't talked about this in a while, and
Hmm.
it seems to be becoming quite relevant again. In an unfortunate way. Where are you at with COVID, man? Because I think it's about to blast back in. I mean, it already kind of has blasted back into our lives, but I mean, what do you think is going to happen here in the near future?
I think we cannot do another shutdown.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, as much as I want us to do another shutdown, well, I don't say I want us to. I don't think the economy can handle another shutdown, and I don't think people are mentally ready for another shutdown. And by
They're not.
people, yeah, I don't want to get like left to right politics or whatever. Certain people out there aren't ready for another shutdown, and it's very evident. The problem is I need people to wear masks again, and I understand there's no government trying to control you and all this other shit like that. The only time I think the government's trying to control shit is when they shut down the government or shut down the economy. That's when I think they're trying to control shit. I don't think we need to do that. I think if everyone just wear a mask and get a vaccine,
Hmm.
we'll be okay. I don't understand. Like, it's like we can't win because people are like, oh, I don't want to wear a mask. Oh, I don't want to wear vaccines. I don't want to get a vaccine. It's like, just do one or the other. Like, we don't have polio for a reason, y'all, because we got a
Yeah.
vaccine.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, going back to what you said about people aren't ready, like mentally for it. I really think they're not, because I think a lot of people, there's a lot of people who have gotten the vaccine that I feel like they think we've solved COVID with that, and unfortunately, the reality right now is that we haven't. Not only because of these variants, but because there are a lot of people who aren't getting the vaccine as well. That So we're not even close to being out of the woods here, I feel like, at this point. And I haven't really been thinking about it a lot recently. I'd say the last like 4 or 5 months, it's really been out of mind. Like pretty much since I got my vaccine, I've like haven't really been too concerned about it. But more recently, just like I was looking at like the case numbers for recently, and like, dude, they're bad again, like really bad. Like we're talking like almost 100K a day new cases,
yeah,
situation in the US, and it's like I think it's like 8 or 900,000 worldwide, which is fucking insane, dude. That like nearly a million people are getting this every day. So it's just I'm like, and because I'm vaccinated, I wore a mask for the entirety of the pandemic when I was outside my home, and I took it super serious, and when I got the vaccine, I haven't been wearing a mask anymore, and it's been very nice. I like honestly, if there's a mask mandate, I'm not going to be super happy about it. I don't really want to wear a mask again. Like by the end, I was kind of done with it. I've been doing it for over a year. It's a really like it's like a cloying, like claustrophobic thing for me. It feels bad to wear at a certain point. Like I can wear it for a bit, but if I wear it all day for like 8 or 10 hours and never take it off, it just like I just don't feel great by the end of the day. So I don't want to wear it, but if we have to, man, I will. And it's just it just the sucky part is that we're here again. I think unfortunately, there was a little personal naivete with this, that I was like, man, we're getting vaccinated, everybody's getting vaccinated, we're gonna be good, we're coming out of this, and then it's like, well, pandemics aren't that simple, unfortunately. They
yeah,
they often have peaks and valleys in history, like historically. And I think the last few months we were kind of in a valley, and now we're heading back towards a peak. And I don't know. So yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. It'll be interesting to see, because I mean, we've obviously in the gaming space specifically, like, haven't had in person events for the most part in the last year and a half. And there was plans to have them, like this coming year, and it's kind of looking like we may end up not having to, or like we may have to not again, skip another year potentially, and it making me wonder how long it's going to drag on for, at this point. So I don't know. There's your COVID update, everybody. Things aren't as peachy as we could have all hoped, but
yeah. I think if people just wear masks, the curve will
yeah,
go down and get vaccinated. I think it will go down. I don't think we need to
right.
shut anything down, though. I just really don't think we need to do that.
I
Um,
mean, I agree with you. I don't want to shut down. I
yeah, that's
don't.
what I should say. I don't
That,
want to shut
that was
down.
one of the worst periods I can remember. Is like that period where everything was shut down. Like it sucked. But at the same time, like you said, I mean, a lot of people aren't. They're not getting vaccinated. They won't wear masks even if they're told to. Um, for whatever reason, political or belief reasons, whatever. But the reality is, the more people doing that, the more the virus is going to spread. So
Yeah,
it kind of is what it is. We don't have full control, man. We can only do what we can do in our bubble, and that's true of everyone listening too. I mean, do what you got to do within your own sphere of influence. But and I mean, do what's right for you. Like if you don't want to get a vaccine, you don't have to. You live in a free country. It's just it does have an effect on the people around you, though. So keep that in mind. But all right, enough of that, Montrell. this is a video game podcast, so let's get to the video games for the people. For those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you want to send us a question that will be read on the show and answered on the show, you can do so at The Players Take on Twitter or theplayerstake01@gmail.com. All right, let's get into it, Montrell. Let's start like we always do with what we have been playing. Would you like to go first this week, or do you want me to?
You can. Oh, I don't really have anything, to be honest with you. It's the same stuff I
Same
was playing
games?
last week. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I do want to talk about my games. I only have
Yep.
two: Apex Legends and Ion. I want to start with Apex. So the new season for Apex came out on Tuesday, the 2 days ago from the day of recording, and I don't know if you've played yet the new season at all, but we did play on Tuesday evening. We played the new character. I didn't play the new character, but Snakes played the new character,
Yeah, I
and
played it with them the
we
first
got
day.
to we got to play on World's Edge, like the changed, World's Edge with some of the changes and then the updates to all the guns. And dude, when I gotta say, I might be done with Apex for a while.
Okay,
This,
I thought I was by myself with this. Yeah.
bro, I think it's the worst it's ever been. Like, I'm legitimately mad, like upset. I think the game feels shitty right now. Like in a really bad way. I was talking to a couple of our friends yesterday that we play with about this, and the games, like, in the things they've done to the game, I think have been all the wrong things to me. Like, let me start with like the changes to World's Edge. I don't know how you feel about this, but we all felt that what they did to World's Edge this season this is the first time they've changed the map where I think it's a negative change, because
Yeah,
they got
it's
rid of Sorting
objectively
Factory.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they got rid of Sorting Factory, which was literally one of our favorite drop zones in the entire game. We would go there probably 50% of our games if the flight path allowed us to.
Yeah.
And yeah, that does mean we have some kind of element of bias to it. But the thing is, that was one of the most unique and excellent drop zones in the entirety of Apex. It was this really large, wide area. It had these long buildings that were very unique. Like, there aren't a lot of buildings that are like this in the game and any of the maps, to be honest. And it was an area that had a lot of elevation, a lot of different elevations, different building types. It allowed for snipers or pushing. It was a very strategic zone, and they took it out and they replaced it with something that I don't even know what the area is called, but we dropped there a few times and I fucking hate it, dude. Like, it sucks. It has this giant like lava lake in the fucking middle. And then you have to you either have to run around the outside or take these like fucking trams to like traverse it and shit. It feels sucky, and losing that for something I don't like is really bad, dude. Like, I kind of feel like World's Edge was in an excellent place last season, and it's kind of unfortunate that they decided to change it up, and they changed one of the best places I like to go. I mean, how do you feel about the map though?
I actually don't like it. Maybe because I'm still new to it, so I'm trying to give it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But solos I played with, well, randoms I played with, and even when I was playing with snakes, um, it just doesn't feel too good. Like, yeah, we dropped where Sorting Factory was at, and it's like this one little tiny factory there, and then two buildings outside. And if you don't get inside that factory,
Mm-hmm.
another team gets inside there, and you drop outside, you're like done. Because the loot, that's another thing. Like Snakes was complaining about. I didn't think he was. I thought he was just complaining to be complaining, but I'm
No.
starting to see what he's talking about. The loot
Yeah.
drop is almost, it's not there yet, but it's getting to PUBG levels. Like, it's getting there, and I don't like that.
Right.
Uh, it's a couple of steps above PUBG. If PUBG was like number one, it's still like maybe level 4, level 5.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
PUBG was bad. You'd run through like 8 buildings and not even find a gun, like,
yeah,
it was pretty bad.
yeah.
But Apex, that happens, dude, sometimes. And the thing is like, I understand what they're going for with the design of the game. They want loot locations to be something that people congregate at early in the game, so there's early conflict. They want you to fight. That's the way the game is designed. But The thing is, though, you're really punished if you don't land in very specific locations. Like, look, and by specific, I'm not talking about like a place on the map. I'm talking about a place within the place on the map. Like, you need to, like Montrell said, that new location that took over sorting. There's a big building, and then there's a bunch of little small ancillary like trailers, and they have some bins around them. If you go to the outside, there's a very good chance you're not going to find a weapon. And by the time you get to an area where you do find a weapon, you're being pushed by a team that did drop the big building and got all the fucking weapons, and you're dead. So it's like the game is forcing you to play in a very specific way at times, and it just doesn't feel good. Because I don't always want to land hot. I often do in Apex, but I don't always want to land hot. And when I do land hot, I want the option to land like somewhere that isn't the primary like landmark, and these new areas, they feel like they're built specifically around one landmark, and you're supposed to go there. Everything else is just like trash. And then they even they took out train station, which we didn't like, or train yard, whatever the fuck it was called on World's Edge. We didn't really like train yard, but it was funny. We went to the new area that they put in place of train yard, and it's fucking worse than train yard. Like way worse. There's like less bins, there's less loot zones. Like the little loot spawn areas that are on the ground, like there aren't that many of them. Like going there was awful. We went there and we came out. I came out with like a pistol and like a fucking shotgun. Like it was an absolute horrible loot location. And I'm like never going to drop there again. And it's to the point that there's only like 3 or 4 places on World's Edge that I even like to drop now at this point. And that sucks. Like that feels really, really bad because there's a lot of locations on that map that suck, and so I don't know. So that's like, we were talking about it, is like, what could they do? Is like, maybe at a certain point you just stop fucking with these maps. You get them to a certain point, which I feel like they were at with World's Edge last season. Like the map was like basically perfect in my opinion for the most part. And don't fuck with it anymore, and like kind of like crystallize it, and that's the map now. And you make new maps, and then you fuck with those maps. It's like they could fuck with Olympus, they could release a new map next season and fuck with that one. It's like, why do you have to keep fucking with like Kings Canyon and World's Edge? As much as I don't like Kings Canyon, I like it a lot more now than I did when I first started playing the game. And I'm kind of like afraid of what they're gonna do to Kings Canyon next. Like, are they gonna fucking take another loot location that we like away, and replace it with something shitty? Because that, I don't know. That's just like that's kind of what I'm worried about now at this point. So I mean, there's that, and then there's their character, Seer. I don't know how you feel about this guy, dude, but I'm already tired of him. He's really obnoxious. Like his ability is loud as fuck. Like all his abilities are super loud. Like noise wise, like they need to lower the volume, in my opinion, of his stuff. But then also like his tactical can go through walls, and Jet has found this out. He plays Loba, and his tactical, Seer's tactical, will interrupt his tactical and put it on cooldown if he gets hit by it while he's trying to use his. And that is fucking bullshit. Like that is like a straight up counter to a character that isn't fucking fair at all, because not only do you do a little bit of damage to Loba, you interrupt her tactical when she's trying to run away, and then you like put it on cooldown so she can't use it again for however long. It's like, dude, and then you get to see where she is too. It's like, and how much HP she has. It's a little much in my opinion. His ultimate's not that great, but it's obnoxious. Like dude, everyone's playing Seer, so all you see on the fucking map are these domes everywhere. These stupid wire domes that he does all over the fucking map. There's like 4 of them around you at all times. It's like, the fuck, man. So I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that character?
So far when I play with him, I know I didn't really have a problem with his audio. I know Snake's playing the character. He said like he could hardly hear anything. So
Yeah.
Maybe that does need to change. But as far as like me playing against it, I think he's kind of overpowered. I don't really know how his attacks work. So he sends out his drones. That's his cue, right? He sends out his drones, and that interrupts your attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one that tracks you.
Okay.
If he hits you with it.
Yeah, I think the counter should be that you should be able to shoot the drones at the sky, like kind of like Crypto's drones or something like that. But I remember we were trying to do that and we couldn't do it. Another thing is he's very good at pushing and at lockdowns. So they need to make the character one or the other.
Mhm.
I think like Bloodhound, right? He's a good character for pushing. Like you can lock down with Bloodhound, but he's mainly a character for pushing. Like that's his main objective when you play Bloodhound.
Yeah.
Uh from his alt, you can tell like they want you to track him and they want you to track the person and kill him.
Well, he's
His thing,
balanced, right? Like,
yeah,
because you're right. Like Bloodhound, yeah, his tactical shows him what people or shows where people are, but it's only for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds at most. And the ultimate is designed around killing people. You get a additional duration for getting kills on his ultimate, so it's
yeah,
worth
exactly.
pushing with that character. That character's designed as an attacker, in that regard. Whereas, yeah, you're totally right. Seer, on the other hand, works both ways as a defender and an attacker. And they're kind of doing this a lot with these characters lately, I feel like, where they're designing them in such a way that they're good at everything.
Yeah, and I
Obviously,
don't
Seer
like
doesn't have mobility, but that doesn't matter. He's good at attack and defense, and that is an imbalance in the game because most characters aren't like that, especially the older ones.
yeah, exactly. And like I played against them in arena and I played against them in base game as well. So in arena, I think the character's totally broken. I think there are certain characters in arena that are just totally broken. And
Hmm.
then certain characters that are like useless. I think
Useless.
Loba is
Yeah.
like Loba is one of the useless characters in arena.
And Wraith
Um
is like broken.
yeah, and Wraith is broken, right? So I understand that. I don't really complain too much about that because it's arena and it was designed after the game. It's not the main thing, crux of the game or whatever. I use it as a warm up thing anyway. But
Mhm.
I was playing it, and the map they have chosen, I can't remember. I think it's a form of Olympus, um, where it's
Gardens.
like two, yeah, gardens. But it's on two. It's two towers though, so it's not exactly gardens. It's
Oh,
another
is that
tower on one
Oasis
side.
then?
I think it is Oasis.
Okay.
So it's a tower on one side, tower on the other side. You have no choice but to push each other. One team has to push one other and or you have a sniper match. And the other team, when I was playing against a bunch of randoms, they had Octane. What's that guy's name? I can't remember his name.
Judgment.
No, Caustic, and then they had
Oh
Seer.
yeah. Okay.
And when I tell you the Seer Caustic combo is unbeatable, it's literally unbeatable. Even in regular games, me and Snakes were trying to push us. I had Seer and Bloodhound, and he had the other team had Seer and Caustic, and we could not push this team because they just knew where we're at and they were placing traps everywhere. It was ridiculous. And I'm like, how are we supposed to push this team? We can't push this team. That team is the perfect in-game team. And
Mhm.
that's what I mean. He's broken because he can. And then we were like, okay, we're going to stay back. Then fuck it, we're going to stay back. Let them come to us. Then they just push Seer. Like it was like a no-win situation for us. I don't know. It's just Apex is in such a weird spot right now. I don't want to seem like I'm complaining because I'm bad. I am bad at the game, but I like to play it. But at the same time, it's like they need to do
Mhm.
something about it. Especially like I don't know how you feel about duos. This is just a personal thing for me with duos. I feel like sometimes there are just too many teams on the map because it's like I fight one team and like four other teams
Oh
come
yeah.
by. Whereas with like with trios, I can kind of it's like you may get one or two teams that may push you, but with duos, it's like 4 or 5 teams will push you at one time. It's
Yeah.
like, bro,
Yeah.
I can't handle all that. But that's just like a personal thing. But uh I think that character is broken from he's not broken, he just needs to be pushed in one direction or the other. They either need to push him as a pusher or as a rush down character, or they need to push him as a defense character. Having both, that's where it becomes broken in my opinion. I don't think his abilities are broken. I just think it's just hard to explain because I don't think he's broken. I just think there's an imbalance
Hmm.
in the gameplay structure of him because I don't like calling characters when they first come out and broken
Yeah.
because you got to learn how to play against them and counter them. But the
I
one
agree.
person,
I don't think he's broken either, but
yeah, the one person that counters him is unironically the person that works well with him, which is Caustic. Um, and it's just that team combo. I think that combination is just broken.
mhm.
I don't think Caustic's broken it by all. He needed a buff, and I'm glad he got his buff. I'm glad he's back in the game because now I'm scared to push. So, um,
Which is good. The meta
yeah,
I hope to see more caustics because the meta definitely needed a stop character, like a character that could hold a position because no one's doing it right now or was in season 9. And we complained about that on the show too, is that Caustic getting gutted the way he did was definitely detrimental to the game. As annoying as the character is, like he has a place that needs to exist. Otherwise
Exactly. Yeah.
the game is just running, 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 and sprinting. Like all you're doing is sprinting at people the whole time, and then you kill them and you sprint to the next team, and it's like that was the game for a while. And I do think the meta is going to need time to adjust to that because I mean the changes just happened earlier this week for Caustic. So,
Yeah.
but
I mean, you
I'm
can
glad
tell
you're seeing him out there.
they're trying to go for more slower paced game. You can
Yeah,
tell because like the weapons they release, right? Those are more slower paced, more long distance. Like that new LMG they just released, and the Prowler being, even though I think the Prowler is kind of OP right now. That gun's really fucking good.
really.
Uh, I think it is. Like every time I go against it or I use it, I'm like cracking shields instantaneously. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I
Um,
guess I need to try it because the fact that it doesn't have auto mode anymore is like I thought that would kill the gun because before with burst fire, it sucked dick with burst fire. Like it was a
It sucks
terrible
dick at
weapon.
a range at like I would say long range is not a good weapon at all.
Hmm.
Mid to more on the shorter end, if you know how to place your shots, that gun is fucking ridiculous. And it shoots, in my opinion, it shoots really fast.
Yeah.
I'm used to coming from Halo where I play with the BR a lot. So that's why I can use burst
Oh yeah.
weapons really good. So
Mhm.
if you don't like burst weapons, then yeah, I can understand why it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah, and I mean on the front of the weapons. So this is the last facet I think we'll talk about here. But yeah, the weapon changes like before the patch came out, they had released patch notes and we were both kind of upset with some of the changes. Like the alternator went into the drop, which was your gun, and then the Spitfire went into the drop, which was kind of my gun or one of my guns. And then they did a bunch of nerfs to other guns. And I was going over this yesterday with our friends, and like I was like going through all the guns, and I'm like, dude, at this point, there's like 5 or 6 guns I even want to pick up now. You know, it's like unless I have to, I'm not gonna pick up like 2/3 of the fucking guns in the game. Like the Peacekeeper sucks dick right now. The Eva is worse, probably not as worthwhile to pick up anymore. The Mastiff is decent. I'll pick that up in a pinch. The 301, even though it lost the anvil, still a great gun. I'll still use it. Bowcheck's
Hmm.
good. The longbow and the sentinel like are pretty much terrible sniper rifles. I will use them if the mood strikes me and I want to snipe, but like right now, like snipers suck. The charge rifle's terrible. The P2020, I suck with it, and I don't think it's a great weapon unless you're like super good with it. The Mozambique sucks. The Prowler, like I said, jury's out on that one. But the new gun, the what's it called? I'm forgetting what the new gun's called, but the new gun, like honestly using it it sucks to me at anything other than short range, and it is not a replacement for the Spitfire in any way shape or form. I tried to use that thing with a 3x the other day, and it was awful. Like the bullet drop was crazy on it. I couldn't hit fucking anybody with it. And then if you keep going down the list, it's like you got the flatline, which is all right. It's an okay weapon, I guess. The RE45 is decent, but not as good as like the R99, which that's a good weapon still, of course. And you got the Bowcheck, which is good. But it's like you go through all these weapons, like the Devotion, the Havoc, they suck. Like they're terrible weapons.
They
Like they're
need to
not
rebalance their energy weapons. I don't know what they need
like
to do with them,
dude,
but they
there's
need
whole
to rebalance.
classes of weapons they need to rebalance. They suck. Like the Scout sucks. Like the marksman rifle suck. Like the 30-30 is eh. Like it's just there's just so many weapons that like aren't good right now, and that is annoying. Like that's my issue with the way they balance. Is like they just nerf all the shit into the ground because it becomes too meta, and it's like, well, then you're left with shit. There's like nothing good. It's like I fucking like what weapons even worth fucking using? It's like 4 or 5 of them. It's like I don't know. And maybe this is just me. I don't. Maybe the community feels differently. Maybe they all feel like the weapon balance is in a great place. I don't know, but I personally feel like all these things put together are making the game unpalatable for me right now. I don't really want to play it. I'm kind of over it right now. I might just take a season off and come back in season 11 when we get another new map.
Yeah.
Because yeah, right now I'm not feeling Apex. I'm not feeling great about it. So okay. I did want to talk about Ion too. I've been playing that pretty deeply. I got to level 40 on my assassin, and I have really started diving deep into the PvP of this game, uh, because that is the main core of the game. Like what you're supposed to do in the game is PvP. And
Yeah,
I've been doing it. So I've been running around the PvP area, the abyss, killing people, like fighting people finally, and like jumping people. I'm an assassin, so I can like hide and like ambush people and stuff. So I've been doing that. I also started doing a little rifting. I did 2 or 3 rifts this past week, and man, when I tell you, that shit is fun as hell. I could not believe how much fun I was having. Like it's so fun to run around the enemy leveling area and try to stay alive as long as you can and kill people while you're doing it. Because if you kill enough people, people are gonna start being like, "Oh, there's a guy here, come kill him," kind of thing in chat. So
yeah,
you kind of have to like be hit and run with your attacks. Like you kill somebody and then you move on to a different area, because if you stay there too long, people are going to show up, and kill you. So it is really interesting in that regard. There's a lot of strategy to it, and being an assassin is really fun because I can just be hidden. So I can run around the zone hidden for the most part, and most classes can't see me, except for a couple. There's like a couple that have the ability to see through my stealth, but um, it's just a really like fun kind of exhilarating thing. You spend like a couple hours there. You set up a kisk somewhere, which allows you to resurrect in a specific area, and yeah, you just run around and kill people. And I've been doing it. It's fun. It's good. I like it a lot. So I'm Jet's been playing. He's pretty much addicted at this point. So I'm hoping he catches up with me and we can kind of like duo PvP with people. But if you and the rest join us, that would be great. We'd have a
well,
five man party, and we'd have
we
like a
already
whole
have one down, so
yeah.
Snake said he's not playing with that. He's not playing the game.
I know. Yeah, I feel like he might change his mind. He's just got to get himself in the right mental headspace for it.
Yeah.
But we'll see, I guess. But so yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the game though. I am. As much as the community whines all the time, and the server we're on, everyone's like, "Oh, it's a dead server," even though it's really not a dead server. It's despite all that, just the game itself, I'm having fun with. So I will continue to play it. All right. Unless you want to talk about anything, Montrell, let's move on to the news.
All right.
All right. So, first story we got, Sony announced that they have officially sold 10 million PlayStation 5s since November of last year when it launched. And that's a big milestone because it is the fastest selling console of all time in the United States. And that is not anything to slouch at, because that means it's higher than the PS2, the Switch, and the Wii, some of the biggest consoles of all time. And the PlayStation 5 so far, even in a supply constrained market, is ahead of that curve right now. And so, Montreal, what do you think is causing this? Is it the lack of supply that is driving up demand and thus sales, or do you think Sony authentically has a great device on their hands and they could actually push for one of the highest selling consoles of all time?
Um, that's a good question actually, because I've been thinking about it, and I mean, obviously, my number one answer I think is because of the scalpers. I think the
Mm-hmm.
scalpers are driving up, are instantly like buying these um consoles instantaneously when they come available.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter if it doesn't matter like who has it after the scalper buys them, I think it's legitimately like I will go out on the limb and say 80% of the sales are from scalpers, and then probably 20% are actual people who are able to get through and actually get a console like me and you did. Um, I
I
think
think you're crazy. There's no way that many scalpers
I
have.
honestly I think so, bro. I honestly think every time I click on a link just for shits and giggles, like I wait and I actually try,
Mm-hmm.
my shit's automatically gone instantaneously. I look at the comments, people like I didn't get anything or blah 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 blah, and I think honestly it's about an 80-20 difference. And I think everyone else who has a PS4 or PS5, either they
Mhm.
got it, they're that lucky 20% of people, or they had to buy it off somebody, or they knew somebody at the fact, or like, at Walmart or whatever the case may be. Um, I honestly don't think people will have these consoles. Every time I look in the comments, people are complaining like, I don't have it. I don't have it. I don't have it. And even though like I know we got an article later on talking about the exclusive numbers, because I'm really interested to see those,
Mhm.
because I want to match it to how many PS5s are out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, of course, they're not going to be. It's not going to be like, millions of sales for like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, or whatever the case may be. But like, or not Miles Morales, but Rift Apart, the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. I'm not expecting like 20 million sales or whatever like that. I'm not expecting that, but I'm
Mhm.
very interested to see those numbers, because I really think a lot of these places, like there are still warehouses or garages rather, full of PS5s out there that people are still posting on these like scalper Reddits and everything of that
Mhm.
nature that they have. So that's why I think these sales are like inflated numbers. They are actual sales, but they're in the hands of like scalpers.
Mhm. Well, so I mean, I think the numbers are impressive. Xbox, this is a rumor, but the estimates for Xbox sales, X and S, are 6.5 million, roughly in the same time frame. So, and which I I find that interesting, given that supply of the Xbox seems to be opening up faster than PlayStation. So I don't know. We'll see where that goes. I've said this before. I don't think Microsoft cares too much about the hardware sales. They are all in on Game Pass, and I think that is their biggest push. Is what they're pushing for is Game Pass. So we'll see. We'll see kind of how it shakes out. But to get to those sales numbers, so along with this announcement, Sony did release sales numbers for some of their more recent exclusive games. Um, so they did this in a weird way where they showed the number of units sold, and then they put a date next to it, like what how many this sold by this date. So I'll go through the whole list here. So Bloodborne, which came out on 3/26/2015, sold 1 million units in its first 11 days. um that's the number Sony gave. I don't know why they didn't put like lifetime sales on this. I find that interesting, because some games they did put lifetime, like up till now. So, which is interesting. So Uncharted 4, Thief's End, which came out in May of 2016, sold 2.7 million units in its first 7 days, and then 8.7 by 226 days of release. So that's a lot of sales. Uncharted at this point is probably sold closer to 15 million, I would bet. Uncharted 4. But then Horizon Zero Dawn, this is an interesting one. So 2.6 million in its first 14 days, 7.6 in its first 350 days, and then 10 million by 672 days. So that is a 10 million seller, and that was 3 years ago that it got there. So at this point, that one's probably close to 15 million too, I would bet. I would wager. God of War is the next one they showed. 3.1 million units in 3 days. God of War,
Damn, Jesus
which is
Christ.
fucking crazy. 5 million in 31 days. So, dude, it was, I mean, yeah, it was one of their biggest sellers at launch for sure. That game killed it. This is interesting as well. Detroit Become Human, 2 million in 202 days, and then 3.2 million in its first 464 days. And then Spider Man, this is the big one. This one just blows it all out of the water. 3.3 million in its first 3 days, and then
That's
9
insane.
million. Yeah, 9 million in its first 80 days, and then 13.2 million in its first 325 days.
And it's
That
probably
game,
double that.
right? I would. I think it's safe to say it's probably over 20 million at this point, at least. But yeah, it could be even higher than that. And then Last of Us Part Two. I mean, continuing to up the ante, 4 million in its first 3 days. They don't have any other numbers for this, but yeah, 4 million in its first 3 days, which is pretty nuts. And then Ghost of Tsushima, also pretty respectable. 2.4 million in its first 3 days, 5 million in its first 118 days, and then 6.5 million in its first 249 days. And then Spider Man Miles Morales. So this is where we get into the PlayStation 5 games. 6.5 million units up through 7/18, which is 249 days out from release, which is pretty respectable, but definitely softer than I was expecting.
Yeah.
To be honest, are you surprised by that? Because this game released on PlayStation 4, so it has that full install base, like accessible to it. You know,
Yes and no. A lot of people have issues with Miles Morales. The character, not the game. So,
okay. You think he
uh,
scared people off?
yeah, I think so.
Interesting. I mean, do you want to elaborate on what those issues are or no?
uh, Fuck it. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't like the character because the character is black and Latino.
Yeah.
That's what I think. They didn't like the character in the comic books. A lot of people didn't like the character in the comic books because he's also bi in the comics. I
Mm,
don't know his sexuality in the game, but I think that's the main. I saw a lot of people complaining about Miles Morales, and there was a lot of complaints that didn't make any sense. It was a kind of performative complaining, like they were kind of
yeah.
masking it, and they're
Right.
like, "But I read through the complaints, and I'm like, you're just mad because he's black."
You
That's
read,
exactly what.
yeah, like read through the
Yeah,
lines, kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that it didn't do as well as Peter Parker's, because if anything, it should be right under Spider Man. Like
Hmm.
in my opinion, at 249
Yeah. I
days, it
mean,
should
it's a
be.
great game, and
Yeah,
to be honest with you, man, Miles is a great character. I'm
yeah,
like, like people just get over it. Like he's a good character, straight up.
yeah.
Like
So
I
that
yeah.
that's what I think it is. But two, I guess people also were saying like $50 isn't worth the price tag you got for
Mm,
Miles Morales. So that is another part of the argument. But I played Miles Morales first, and then I went back and played Marvel Spider Man. So in my eyes, Miles Morales is a full game. Like that was a full gaming experience for me. And then it only amped up
hmm.
the ante when I went back and played Spider Man because the game is just as good. I don't know how a sequel. It's not really a sequel per se. It's like a extended DLC. It's like a really fleshed out DLC.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I think the game's just as good. Like as or doesn't have as many enemies like main villains as Spider Man does. But it's a really good game. I think it's worth $50 when
Yeah,
I
but
bought
that's
it
not
at
a
time of
bad
launch.
thing. I think the smaller scope of Miles Morales is actually why I find it so charming, like as a game,
Yeah.
because it's just not nearly as like it's not as expansive as the regular Spider-Man, but that's good. Like so
Yep.
soon after that game, it would have been exhausting to play a game as big as Spider-Man again. You know, because Spider-Man, that game is huge. Like that's a large game. It's probably 25 or 30 hours to do everything in it, and that's a fucking lot, dude. When you take that game into account, whereas Miles Morales is like 15 hours probably to do everything,
Yeah,
which is
you're
not
right.
nearly as bad.
And that was my first platinum game. I actually platinumed that game.
Okay,
Miles
gotcha.
Morales. So like I don't know, I just have a soft spot for it because like you said, it wasn't too much. All the objectives that you can do, the collectibles were like well within range of a reasonable person's
Mhm.
expectations.
Yeah.
So I think it was a nice little package for $50. I
I
liked it.
agree. Yeah, I think it's worth the money too. And I mean, yeah, if anybody didn't buy it because Miles is black and Latino, like, stop being racist, please. It's like, like what the fuck, dude? It's so stupid, man. Okay, last two. Returnal. 80 days on the market. This is also through 718. 80 days on the market. 560,000 copies
I
sold.
think that's super good considering this is a super niche game.
I think so too. And Sony clearly either agrees or doesn't care because they purchased Housemark a few weeks
Hmm.
back. So I do agree with you. Given what the game is and that it's a new IP from a studio that's not well known, I think this is actually pretty respectable numbers. Like I think it could get up to 1 million in a couple of years probably, which would
Yeah.
be very very good for a game. And given that it was $70 at release as well, that was something that was a huge point of contention with this game. I am pretty impressed with those numbers, especially relative to the next game we're going to talk about, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which has been on the market for 38 days, up through 7/18. Only 1.1 million units sold for Ratchet and Clank.
All right, so I'm trying to look at it and gauge it from like, I'm not going against Returnal. I'm looking at it like from like Bloodborne's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's actually a good game to gauge it as. Um, so Bloodborne on the PS4, which has a larger install base, even at 2015, it had a larger install base.
Oh, for sure. It
Uh,
was like 20, somewhere between 30 and 40 million, probably.
yeah, we weren't dealing with scalpers then, so they were still scalping Jordans. Um, but yeah, so they sold 1 million. This game, and that's at 11 days. This is what I expected Ratchet and Clank to do at 11 days. At 38 days, they did 1.1 million, which leads to tell me I don't think Ratchet and Clank is not as strong as the IP. I think Ratchet and Clank is still as strong as the IP it is back in the day. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hands down, like not even a debate. What
Yeah.
I think it is that 1.1 people are the 1.1 people who didn't buy who have PS5s in their
God. Yeah.
possession.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously you can have a different opinion. That's cool too. It's just I didn't buy the game yet because there was so much stuff coming out, and I was just like, I'm not in the right mindset to buy the game right now. But I do plan on buying this game. Uh,
Yeah.
but I don't know. What do you think? Could it be
Well,
economy or could it be?
so this is an interesting one because you could really look at this from multiple ways. Is that maybe Ratchet and Clank's not as big of an IP as we all thought and Sony
Yeah.
thought, or you could say that, I mean, it is an exclusive to PlayStation 5, right? And given that, that attach rate's good. That's like 11% attach rate on 10 million consoles.
Mhm.
So that's good. That's very good for a new game, and that might just be it too. And if that's the case, this kind of this kind of like almost validates Sony's strategy with their first party releases, that they're making them all cross platform with PlayStation 4, dude. Because if Miles Morales was a exclusive to PlayStation 5, it would not have sold anywhere near 6.5 million units. It would have probably been like 2 million at most by this point,
Yeah.
even being a launch game. And so that is kind of like, it gives Sony some, I would imagine they feel a little bullish about that, because like, everybody's giving them shit about this, and I mean, for good reason. We want our games on the new fucking console. I mean, I definitely do. But I understand where they're coming from a business perspective, is they're limiting how many copies they can sell by putting it just on the new console. And if, yeah, it makes the game worse, but they sell 3 times as many copies as they would have if they just put it on PlayStation 5. Like, what? Why wouldn't they do that? So I
Yeah.
think until we get 2 or 3 years in, we're gonna keep seeing this with these games. Like, I think 2023 is the earliest we're gonna see pure PlayStation 5 exclusives coming from Sony with every game. Like, and that's disappointing in one way, but from another, like from their business angle, I get it. I mean, they're trying to grow their business. That's how they do it. So it's because that's kind of your evidence right there. If Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was on PlayStation 4, dude, I would bet it would have sold 3 or 4 times as many copies. Like, I think 4 million is definitely in the ballpark. It could have hit for sure, if it was on PS4. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, man. These are interesting numbers. I do appreciate the candor from Sony too, showing this and sharing this. Obviously, they're kind of bragging, of course, but companies don't reveal this information to us very much, even when they are bragging. So just having it at all, like actual concrete numbers, is
Yeah.
always nice. So I do appreciate
Yeah.
it from that front. But um, anything else you want to say on this story before we move on?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
I think. Oh, I'm sorry. I do
Yeah.
think this shows the strength of exclusives, because I remember it was a conversation a while back that do games still need exclusives, and I think this shows competition, and I appreciate Sony for keeping up the exclusive realm. Even though, I mean, you could say Nintendo's been doing the same thing, but I think
Mhm.
this will push like Xbox to make better exclusives as well because if they see these numbers, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, like Sony's like just fucking killing it, and I wasn't
Mhm.
that like all those numbers you showed me are like I expected it, but holy shit, those a lot of those are single player games. So like
Seeing that
Sony's
on
also
paper, right? Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy.
So like that will also prompt other companies to make good single player games because these games are still selling well into their life cycle, but after
Mhm.
like the hype culture and everything dies down for them. So
Right.
yeah.
One game that wasn't on there was the show. I did hear the number for this was around 2 million sold
Okay.
for the show, which, given that it's on Xbox now, I think, and PC, that's actually really low, a lot lower than I was expecting. Especially because it's like second best selling game of the year, I think, right now. And that's kind of crazy that only 2 million is like the second best selling game. So I feel like games are selling less than we think they are, generally speaking. But yeah. So all right. Let's move on. We are back into the Blizzard realm once again. For the third week in a row now. Uh, but for good reason. President of Blizzard, J. Allen Brack, announced that he was stepping down earlier this week, and he didn't have much to say. It was he was he's they Activision Blizzard said he's moving on to other opportunities. And he did publish a statement on the website. I'll read it real quick. It's very brief. Quote, I am confident that Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra will provide the leadership Blizzard needs to realize its full potential and will accelerate the pace of change. I anticipate they will do so with the passion and enthusiasm that they can be trusted to lead with the highest levels of integrity and commitment to the components of our culture that make Blizzard so special. End quote. I mean, Montreal, there's no other way to say this or frame this, in my opinion, that Activision found its scapegoat. I don't think Brack stepped down. I think he was pushed out the door and told to, you know, call it a resignation. But I'm pretty sure the timing of this is really convenient because last week there was no indication this dude was going anywhere, So, I mean, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think this thing is funny because around the same time, too, one of their executives were tweeting some wild shit about whistleblowing and their employees, which to the point where they were actually blocking other Blizzard employees. And then they
Mm-hmm.
deleted their Twitter account.
Yep. You're talking about
So
Townsend. What's her
yep,
name?
yeah, Townsend,
Yep, the
yeah. So
former like Bush administration person.
I didn't even know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, she was part of the government. Yep.
So yeah, maybe something came out about him, or maybe they just didn't like what was going on under his leadership that he allowed this to happen. And I agree with you. I think they just said like, "Hey, to save face, resign." So we want to fire
hmm
you.
Well, Jason Schreier kind of pontificated on Twitter about this because he broke this, I think, and then it was announced later in the day. But he was pontificating that this is kind of an opportunity now for Activision to really take control of Blizzard in a way they haven't before. And I think that's obvious that that is more than likely going to happen. I think Kotick saw an opportunity here to get rid of somebody that wasn't doing a very good job and was also probably blocking him in some ways from having the control he wanted at Blizzard. And they are going to exert full control because the two people they brought in that are going to be quote co-leaders of Blizzard, Jen O'Neill and Mike Ibarra, are they are not Blizzard veterans. Like they haven't been around that long.
Okay.
Uh, I think Ibarra joined in 2019, and O'Neill, I want to say, she led Vicarious Visions. So she just became a part of Blizzard when they were merged, earlier this year. So these people are not veterans at all. They're outsiders from the company for the most part, and that can be a good or a bad thing. And that will be interesting to see how this plays out because are they just going to be puppets for Kotick and Activision, where they just kind of do what he says and they say, and that's the end of it? Or are they actually going to be able to instill their own leadership into the company and actually make change themselves? or do things differently, whether it's in development or anywhere else within Blizzard, culture or what have you. I don't know, but I mean, what did you think about their appointment though? Co-leaders. That's kind of a new one, dude. You don't hear that very often.
Usually when they do that, that means that they're not going to find either they're trying to still find a replacement like a CEO,
Hmm.
or yeah, like you said, they're not going to do that. They're not going to have a CEO. They're just going to be absorbed into Activision and just call it Activision now. Like I don't think there's going to be Activision Blizzard. I think there's just going to be Activision.
Hmm.
Uh,
Or the way Blizzard's separated, the way people talk about Blizzard is so separated from Activision. I think that's going to go away. I
yeah,
really believe
I,
that.
I
Like,
I
I
think
think they're going
after
to be
all
fully
this,
integrated now.
yeah, I think after all this, Kotek's going to have his PR team and he's going to have ammo to be like, hey, listen, just to save face, we're just going to drop the Blizzard part, and people will forget whatever happened because you guys are going to be a part of Activision now. I mean, of course, we won't forget, but I mean that kind of stuff does work in the business world where they just
Hmm.
drop one name and become another company, and then people are like, oh, this is a brand new company. So I think that's what I agree with you. I think that's what they're going to do, and I don't know, man. It's going to be pretty weird.
I just getting rid of the Blizzard name is like it's like a double-edged sword because in one sense it does help you save face in the short term because it gets that bad PR out, but in the on the opposite side, it's bad for you because Blizzard's name is synonymous with great video games, you know. So I don't know which direction it's going to go. I don't know if they're going to get rid of the Blizzard name. It could be a situation where they're basically like, you know, they're Activision Irvine in all but name. They keep the Blizzard name, but they're just like Raven or any of these other studios that Activision owns. They're just like an arm that they control and they tell what to do, you know. Um, but that'll be interesting to see. I'm very interested to see what they do with Blizzard going forward within Activision's corporate structure because I think Blizzard up to this point has been pretty siloed. And I guess I want to get into the next point I want to make here now is that I think ultimately that this could because I was when this news broke we were talking about it through text and I was a little kind of back and forth about it. I was upset in some ways and then in other ways I was a little positive. Is that I do think that this is an opportunity for some good to come out of this, not only in the culture sense, but in terms of the Blizzard development sense, like where because we've talked about Blizzard on the show for years. Like it's like one of the we cover them almost more than anybody on the show.
Yeah,
My own personal experience kind of bleeds into that, of course, but it like for good reason though. They're a different company. They've been a different company for years, for 10 years plus. And we've talked about that a lot and how they've changed and how they had more microtransactions and all these things. And that aspect is probably going to get worse, but the thing is, this was a company that clearly had some kind of internal rot in its culture, with this male dominated culture and just the way they acted towards fans and treated streamers and content creators and stuff. They are openly hostile towards their fans at times, towards streamers, influencers, what have you, uh, people that they don't like. And that to me stems from a lot of these guys who are these like assholes who perpetuated this harassment culture in Blizzard. I think a lot of it stems from them is that either one of two things is happening. Either they are being assholes themselves, like they are the ones openly being assholes towards streamers, or they are creating such a hostile environment that their workers are lashing out because they need some outlet to get their stress out. And that is bad. Like that's not a good culture to have. Like it's wild to me how unprofessional many Blizzard employees were on Twitter and have been in the past and you continue to be. But that could change now, like where their work environment could get better and we could actually see better output from Blizzard. We might actually see more games from them that are of better quality than many of the games they've released in the last 10 years. Better games than Diablo 3, better games than Overwatch, better games than Hearthstone, and better games than many of the World of Warcraft expansions that have come out recently. And I kind of have some weird inkling of hope that that actually happens. That even though I don't want Activision to take Blizzard over, at this point, the Blizzard I knew is long dead. It's a husk. Let it go. it's just do something new, and honestly, fuck it. If that means Activision comes in, dude, Activision, as much as we give them shit as a publisher and they do shitty stuff, like, dude, they fucking pump out good games though. Like, like think about their games, their lineup of games. Like they don't pump out shitty games very often. As much as Call of Duty's annoying and it's like a trope and a meme and it's like it comes out every fucking year, it's
I
still a
mean, it's
quality ass video
yeah.
game
I
though.
was say its fans love it. So just because we
Yeah,
don't like it, the fans do love Call of
yeah.
Duty.
So their
Um,
influence could end up being positive in that regard in terms of the quality of game we get. And I kind of hope that's the case because I'm kind of tired of talking about Blizzard and the way we've talked about them because it just seemed clear that they were falling apart, dude, internally. And we're gonna talk about another article here after this about Warcraft 3 Reforged, and it's like it's a lot of blame goes on Activision, but internally at Blizzard, it just seems like these guys were like completely lost. They didn't know how to lead, they didn't know how to run these projects, and it was just a disaster all around. And it's like made this company suck. Like they're a shitty company now. Like they're bad. Blizzard is a bad company. Like they make bad fucking games. And
yeah,
they've been living off their name for 15 years. And at a certain point that just needs to end. Like we can't give them the benefit of the doubt anymore. And I'm done with them. I know you're pretty much done with them too. And until they prove that their shit is worth our money, I'm kind of done with them for now. And so I don't know. This could go many ways. This could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing though as well. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, what do you think? Do you think from a game's perspective this could be a positive outcome?
uh, I can't really be too positive or negative. It's a toss up right now, depending
Mm-hmm.
on the leadership, what type of what they do with it, and things of that nature. It can go either way. I
Yep.
just honestly don't know right now. To be honest with you, I can't answer that question with positivity on both sides, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes any sense. Um, because I honestly just don't know. It's such a toss up, such a fire. It's a situation is very delicate right now, and
Yeah.
I'm curious just to see what they do with it in general. So
Yep.
I'm just waiting to see. To be honest with you,
Maybe they'll revive StarCraft, or they'll just
yeah.
bury it in the deepest closet they can find and never speak of it again. It'll be one or the other. It feels like so. I don't know. But all right, so let's get to that other article I was talking about, though. Warcraft 3 Reforged, which is a game we covered pretty deeply on this show. I was very excited about it, and it is one of the worst experiences I can remember as a gamer. Um, where a company took a game, they took a game that was great and they made it shit somehow. And Jason Schreier, in the height of all this Blizzard stuff a couple weeks ago, he released an article detailing what happened with Reforged. And honestly, if you read it, it's nothing that would be too surprising. It's stuff that we said on this show that more than likely happened. It was management that didn't really care about the project, management that did not lead well, they didn't plan well. It was a small team, a very small team with too much to do and too tight of a window to do it in. They didn't have the timeline they needed in order to do all the stuff they wanted to do, and ultimately they didn't have the budget either to do the things that they wanted to do. And this is not a surprise. It's just, I guess I wanted to bring this up just to kind of bring this all full circle at this point because it's over. Warcraft 3 Reforged sucks. Blizzard and Activision don't give a shit about it. They're probably never going to fix it. It's to the point that fans are endeavoring to fix the game. That's how bad it's gotten because nothing is fucking coming with the game. Like ladder's still not in the game, I don't think, after a year and a half, which was something that was in the game before they launched the re-release. Like they destroyed the game's ladder system and like competitive, basically, and they haven't fixed it since. So it is what it is. But I mean, Montrell, is there anything you want to say about Reforged?
I didn't play it too much, so I just went off your anger and kind of avoided it.
Yeah, no, understood, for good reason. It's
it.
just
It was a terrible launch from what you told me from what I watched on YouTube and just how they overall treated the game, removing stuff, and it was not a good experience. It was almost on par with like how they did the Halo Master Chief Collection. But at least
Mhm.
the single player campaign for the Master Chief Collection was like done and complete. It was only the multiplayer that was broken. Whereas with you guys and Reforge, everything was shit. Like the,
Yeah.
the single player was shit and
Yeah.
the multiplayer was shit. So I
Dude,
definitely
yeah.
understand why you guys were like super upset.
Well, yeah, and at least with Master Chief Collection, they fixed it eventually,
Yeah,
you
they
know?
did. Yep.
Whereas here, there's no indication they're ever gonna fix it. They're just gonna leave this game broken, forever. And it's like, I'm literally gonna have to go like, download a pirated emulator of Warcraft 3 to play it, probably. Because that's how fucked up it is, you know? It's like, that's how much they fucked it up. So, it's great. It's great. It's fucking great, dude. So, alright, let's move on. I don't wanna talk about Blizzard anymore. Um there has been a sort of semi announcement of a new South Park game. Trey Parker and Matt Stone recently, today actually, had a, kind of an announcement of a bunch of stuff related to South Park. And along with that, they did briefly mention that they are making another video game in the world of South Park. So this is probably going to be in a similar vein to the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole. Uh, in that vein, I would imagine. So, Montreal, does this excite you? Did you play either of those games?
No, I didn't play it. I heard they were really good games though, from what I've read and everything of that nature.
Yes. Yes.
They're
I
like
heard the same
actually
thing.
really deep
Yeah.
RPG games.
Yes. Yeah, because the first one's like a JRPG, like a
Yeah.
turn-based JRPG, like an old Final Fantasy game, and the
Yep.
second one is like a tactical grid-based strategy RPG. But they're both like, yeah, really deep RPGs, and I honestly want to like play them to see, because I've heard really great things about them. But so yeah, it's exciting that another one's happening. Both of those were published by Ubisoft. So it'll be interesting to see who they choose here, because they did not announce a partner for the game yet, and maybe they're not going to partner with anybody. They probably don't need to at this point, but that would be interesting as well. So, so another one of those is coming, and then let us move into delays, more delays. So this was rumored last week, but then confirmed between last week and this week, is that Sony is delaying Horizon Forbidden West to early 2022. The lack of a date on that trailer in May was extremely conspicuous to us on this show, and I think to many people around the industry. But we've gotten confirmation now it's coming in Q1 2022. Does that disappoint you, Montreal?
No, a delayed game is okay.
Yeah.
They want to delay it and delay it. I'm not complaining about delayed games anymore. After Cyberpunk,
Hmm.
I'm done. I'm done complaining about delayed games.
Yeah, but do you think though? Does this open the door for Xbox with Halo to kind of take the fall now, with an
Yeah,
exclusive?
actually, I that's a good point. That it does. And from the reviews I've seen, or just from like the beta they had, I think that's actually threatening to Sony. Um, Not like life changer or ever, but
Hmm.
um, it could bring like Xbox back on the map, because a lot of people have been liking the new Halo, which we will talk about later. But a lot of people have been liking the beta they released. It wasn't really, it was a beta just to test against the bots they have, because the bots are supposed to be really intuitive. And a lot of
Hmm.
people were reporting the bots actually play like actual players. They strafe left and right and everything of that nature to teach people how to play the game.
Hmm.
And the multiplayer is supposed to be free to play as well. So that's another up for them. That's another good thing about it. So
Hmm.
I'm very curious. I mean, it's going to be an interesting fall for Xbox at least.
Yeah, I mean, because yeah, now Sony really has nothing. Like, I guess they have Deathloop. I guess they would count that, even though it's it's not a first party game. It's a third party exclusive. Whereas I guess you've also got like Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which we're about to talk about. That's also an exclusive, I think. But it's like these. I mean, this is not these are nothing compared to Halo. Sorry, like Halo is way bigger of a franchise than anything those games will do. So, so yeah, I mean the stage is Microsoft's, I guess, this fall. To be honest, and we'll see what they'll make of it. I think Halo is going to be big though, dude. I honestly, what I saw of it, with that beta they were doing last week, or the last couple weeks, like I think that game is going to be really big.
Yeah, I agree.
So, All right, we got one more delay. Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which was coming out in August, has been delayed again, but it is a short delay. It is only delayed 1 month until September 21st. So this game is coming very, very soon. It's only 6 or 8 weeks away, even with this delay. So to me, at this point, I'm not upset about that. Like you said, delayed games always better. So that's fine with me. But Montreal, you still looking forward to this game?
Oh yeah, 100%. I can't wait for this game. It's just the charm of it. It reminds me of Zelda and a Pixar game, so it just
Mm-hmm.
looks really cool. So
Yeah, because up until this point, I've been like, you guys know this. I've been in a deep like MMO multiplayer rabbit hole the
mhm.
last couple months, and I've been like really looking for a game to like pull me out of that and like drag me back in. And Kenna was the game that was on my radar at the end of this month. That was really like I was thinking that was going to be the game. And this being delayed, unfortunately, pushes that back a bit. But I forgot about a game, and I remembered it this week because I've been seeing a lot of press for it recently. Is that Hades is coming to Xbox and PlayStation finally after a year, and it's coming out next week, a week from tomorrow, actually, a week from Friday. So that might be the game that pulls me back into single player because I know that game looks fucking dope, man. I don't know if you played it, but man, it looks fucking good as shit. So that may be the one for me.
And I heard like it has what I heard has multiple endings for Hades, right?
I think that's true. Um, yeah, and I mean it's like an action RPG too, a roguelike action RPG. So I mean, sign me up, dude. And it's also on Game Pass. So you know, I mean, what the fuck? Why not? you know. So okay, that's it for news. We've got two more things to get through before we're done for the week, and this one Montreal wanted to talk about this, and I am going to be honest. I haven't been following it because I saw the beginning of it, and I was like, I rolled my eyes and was like, I know where this is going, and just ignored it for the most part. But I think you've been following it a little bit more than me, maybe unwillingly so. But so there was this thing about fruit physics in video games that somebody brought up, and they were comparing. What the fuck was it? Like Halo's fruit physics to fucking
Modern Warfare's fruit physics. That's where it
was it
started.
Modern Warfare or was it like The Last of Us? I don't
No,
remember.
it was modern. The first instant of it coming up in general
Well, okay.
was the guy had two clips side by side, and it was
Yeah.
Halo, and then it was Modern Warfare. And he
Okay.
shot the fruit in Halo, and it really didn't do anything. And then he shot the fruit in Modern Warfare, and he was like, "Wow, look at these physics! Oh my god, you can tell which game has
Well,
love in it."
Halo, yeah, Halo. I think he shot the fruit and they all exploded. It was like six fruits and they all exploded at the same time, and it
Yeah,
looked
they had
really.
no.
It looked good.
It looked very old school.
Like
Like,
PlayStation 2-ish, like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Whereas yeah, the ones in Modern Warfare, each individual fruit exploded when he shot at them, And I think he was just trying to like give some props to Modern Warfare, but he was bagging Halo a little bit there too. So and this just like sparked this whole fucking conversation about like is it worth putting effort into fruit physics in a game, especially when there's crunch involved and all this shit. I mean, you want to go over it? I guess you're a little bit more familiar with it than me.
Well, yeah, they're like, and then people were making jokes like, so I had to change. At one point, I changed the way my timeline works because you can have it on Twitter as the most current tweets or like the most talked about tweets or topics related to the stuff
Mm,
that you like.
okay.
So it was doing video game stuff, but at one point, it was getting very nauseating because there was just this crazy like console war shit that was just like popping up on my timeline. It was just super toxic, and I was just like really tired of it. And it was a lot of it was coming from PlayStation people. Like I'm
It
not
always
trying to be
does.
biased. I mean, I'll say
I
10
think
years
they're
ago.
way worse. I think they're way worse than Xbox fans. PlayStation fans.
Yeah,
I
right.
think they're
Yeah,
way worse.
now I say 10 years ago it was Xbox fans,
It
right?
was probably the reverse. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, now yeah, like they are like super toxic. Like the way some of these people talk, you would think they are employees of the companies themselves. Like it's insane, right?
Yeah.
So Anyway, the guy posted something about it's been multiple things about Last of Us, the rock physics in Uncharted, and oh my god, like the fruit physics. Look at this stuff. And one person I was talking to on Twitter made a very good point. He said that a lot of these developers back in the day, when they put these fruit physics in and stuff, it was like one engineer or one coder, right? He was just like, yo, for shits and giggles, I'm about to do this shit. Like, I'm doing this for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the standard now. And now these guys are putting in crunches just to make sure, the phone, like your little cell phone that you see on the game, falls on the correct side or whatever the
Something that
fuck.
99.9% of players are never gonna fucking even notice.
Exactly. And that used to be a thing that developers did because they love the game and they love when people go out their way to look for shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like they used to do it out of love. They didn't really have it wasn't a necessity. So that's really where my argument is coming from, or not really my argument, but my complaint or rant against this type of thing is coming from. First of all, let's get this straight. And they said it pretty much the entire time. The game is about I think 3 or 4 months still from being released. Halo
Mm-hmm.
Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
What they released were tech demos. They called them technical demos, their betas or whatever you want to call them. So they're not going to have all the physics in there because they're still working on the fucking game.
Yeah.
That's just it is what it is. On top of that, these are polished games that you guys are comparing them to. Like they're not. This game's not done.
Yeah.
And even if it was let's say if it was a PlayStation game that they're comparing it to, that the physics suck on the fucking fruit in the PlayStation game, I'll have the same argument. Like, I don't. I guess my question is, how far do we need to go with like little shit like this? Should it be the standard, or
Yeah.
should it still just be developer love?
Well, dude, okay. So let's say Halo does release with the fruit physics like that. Does it matter? Does it actually
I
make the game worse? Like
I
in
don't
any
think
appreciable way?
I don't the way they had the fruit stands. It's not like you're shooting through the fruit stands, right? It's not like you're ducking behind cover like in The Last of Us 2 where there are fruits on the tables and you may shoot through the fruit and everything like that. So the
Mm-hmm.
physics seems real. These are like fruit stands off to the side. So
Yep.
in that retrospect, I don't think it adds anything or even an aesthetic or even a feeling or a sense of being in the environment. It doesn't add anything, in my opinion.
Yeah. And dude, the only time you notice it is if you're like shooting at an enemy and there's like a fruit stand behind them and you like shoot enough times at the fruit stand, you're like missing your shots and you blow the fruit up and it's like, "Oh, wow, that doesn't look great," but it's like that'd be the only time you notice it. And it's like, how often is that going to happen in the game? Like, and honestly, even if it happens, who fucking cares? Like, does it really matter? How much does it enhance the game? Like that's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like The Last of Us 2 is like this hyper fucking realistic game, right? And that's what they're going for. So I understand the need to be meticulous and nitpicky and make sure everything is fucking perfect, in that game. But at the same time, if the fruit didn't roll out of the basket perfectly, correct, would I even notice? Probably not. It's like it's just I don't know. It because that's I think I where your question is like how much is this little shit worth it if we're going to crunch? It's not worth it if we're going to crunch. It's only worth it if people are doing it of their own volition or they have the time to do it within natural development to the point that they're not crunching. If they're having to crunch to get this shit done, dude, that makes me mortified to think that somebody was working a 60, 70, 80-hour week trying to
Just to get
fucking
this.
make sure the physics on the fucking apples was 100% good. Like, that's horrible, dude. If that's what's happening out there, what the fuck are
so
we doing?
so some fucking Twitter user would be like, "Oh my god, guys, look at these fruit physics," and it's like,
Yeah.
and then another point is, no, I haven't seen. I looked on YouTube. I haven't seen anyone post anything until this came out. Like no one was looking for this shit. No one was going out their way and be like, "Yo, look at these fruit physics." Like
Yeah.
that's so cool.
Yeah. No,
Now,
yeah, I mean, th-
now all of a sudden everyone's fruit fucking ninja, and now they care about fruit physics now. Like,
well, yeah, like this guy, the first guy who tweeted, right? He was like, like, what even got him to make this tweet? Like, to do this side by side? Like, was he just bored? And he's like, oh, this is gonna, oh yeah, this take's gonna get me 200,000 likes. You know, it's like,
and that's another thing too, right? So outside of that realm of like video games and stuff, I hate this narrative, right? That, or not narrative, but this victim thing that people do. Like, you know exactly what the fuck you were doing, because he did post that, right? He's like, oh, and now guys, I wasn't really just trying to say it. I was just saying, like, look at the fruit physics and stuff. No, you knew exactly what you were saying without saying it. Gaslighting, that's what it's called. You
yeah.
gaslit everyone, and now you're trying to be like, you guys are crazy. I wasn't really trying to say that, and everyone's doing that now with these fruit physics things, and it's annoying the shit out of me. I'm gaslit. I'm lit. You got me. I, you baited me and you got me, because it's annoying the fuck out of me. And the only reason why I think this is why I say Halo is going to be like, Halo Infinite is going to be fucking huge. People only get this, like the fanboys, rather, I'll say the fanboys only get in a frizzy like this when they know a game is so good that it threatens their
Their little
sense of
bubble.
yeah, their sense of superiority that they've
Mhm.
had for like the last 5 years. You
Yeah.
know, because Xbox did the same thing. Like, I mean, Xbox fanboys did the same shit. So I know how this goes, right? So, and that's what this is. Like, when The Last of Us came out, everyone was like, "Oh, Xbox!" All the Xbox fanboys was like, "Oh, this is an interactive movie." Oh, blah 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 blah. And it's like, it's an actual game, bro. It's a decent game. So I think Halo Infinite's going to be a decent game, and the fanboys are threatened by it. And I thought, and you know what, Justin, this is my naivete. I thought we moved past it, because we
Hmm.
haven't seen it in like four
The
years, bro.
fanboy wars,
I thought we moved past it, because we haven't seen it this bad in like 4 or 5 years.
the
I would
console
say,
warriors, man, they
yeah,
never went
like,
away. They never went away, man. It's just that Sony was winning so hard that they didn't have to fight. Like they didn't have to fight. So now it's like Microsoft's like actually starting to come with maybe some like semi haymakers a little bit. And they're like, yeah, you're right. They don't know what to do. So what do they do? They lash out like little babies. You know, it's like, dude, dude, the level of derangement that these people have is it's like, bro, I'm telling you, who are these clowns? You are literally a clown. What it's Dude, you don't own anything related to Sony. You own a box, a plastic fucking box that plays your video games. Why are you so invested in their success? I don't understand it. Like, what fucking, like, dude, are you like this is like Final Fantasy 14? Like, you're a fucking thrall to Sony. Like, you literally don't have a brain anymore. You just do what Sony says. Like, who are you people? Are like, does Sony hire these people? Are they plants? Like, what the
so
fuck? Like, they
so
don't feel
another,
like real people to me. Like, they're so cartoonishly weird. Like, I
and
don't
that's what I
understand.
thought, right? So like, there is a thing on Twitter where people, like celebrities and stuff like that, will hire people like these little stand accounts. That's what we call
Mm-hmm.
them. To like promote their stuff, and like, oh man, look at what Rihanna's doing, and they
Yeah.
don't tag Rihanna in the thing or anything. They just like promoting it, right? And they have a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And uh, I was thinking PlayStation's doing the same thing, but it's just to the point now where I think these are actual legitimate people. Like, these are
Yeah, they're
legitimate
just
people.
deranged human beings who are just like so far in their little world that like
Yeah,
Sony, like they worship Sony so hard that it's just, I don't, bro.
and this is how I know Microsoft's like actually doing a decent job, because I haven't bought a Microsoft game in a while. I still have an Xbox Series. I still have an Xbox One X S. So like, my word is like not bond here. But the thing is, like, I think Microsoft Flight Simulator is actually doing pretty well. A lot of people actually like the game. And like, now all this random stuff about FPSs, and oh, you fly down, you look at the city below, it's actually like 2D cutouts and stuff. And people are like, why would you fly all the way down to the city like that? That's not the point of the game. The point of the game is to be flying. It's rendering an entire fucking world while it's flying. Like, that's impressive technology. And like the fanboys are like attacking it, bro. Like, it's amazing
You know
at
what it
what's
is,
going
dude?
on.
You know what it is? I think because I see that we see this to a lesser extent with our actual friends, where we all have positions on things, and I think sometimes like you get to a place where like you don't think that deeply about something and you feel a certain way about something, right? Like let's just take being Sony, right? I'm a fan of Sony's games, Like I don't need to think deeply about that to know I feel that way, But then when somebody like comes out and is like, oh, well, The Last of Us 2 sucks. Like that's it's like a movie game, and I'm like, I thought the game was great, and I'm like, what are you talking about? No, it's not. And then all of a sudden it devolves into an argument, this like stupid, silly argument where it's like, why are we yelling at each other about this fucking video game that you probably didn't even play? It's like, I don't like it's that's where I get to, but other people like they get so deeply entrenched in their position that it to the point that they cannot get out of it in any conceivable way. So they just do shit like this where like they like embarrass themselves to make their point and win the argument. It's like I don't know, man. Like guys, none of this shit's that serious. Nobody cares if Microsoft Flight Simulator has 2D cutouts. Can you tell when you're flying? Probably fucking not. Who cares, bruh? Like, is the game fun? Yes. Okay. Then what are we even arguing about? Like, who fucking cares? This is my point about the fruit. It's like, does it affect the enjoyment of the game? No. Then why is it an issue? It's like, yes, I understand some of these things we need to be criticized, but this is so nitpicky. Like, this is nitpicky for me, and I'm somebody that's hypercritical. Like, I critique games on a level that's crazy sometimes, and it's like, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, it's just bonkers to me. So I don't know, man. It's just so dumb. So sick of fanboys. I like have a bias against fanboys. Like I hate fanboys, period, for things. And like when I'm a fanboy for something, I like fully acknowledge it and like make sure I'm fully transparent about it because like with Xenoblade Chronicles, for instance, it's like because I know that influences my opinions. Like I know it does, and I need to make sure everyone understands that, so I don't come off like like an asshole. Like that. I'm like oh, Xenoblade Chronicles is better than every game that's ever come out, and it's like it's like maybe I feel that way. I know other people don't feel that way, but like no one's mad at me for saying that because I'm not like I'm not like, well, it's 100 times better than Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like that game's a piece of shit in compared to Xenoblade Chronicles. It's like not like no, dude. Like I can love Xenoblade Chronicles and acknowledge that like Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great game. I don't need to feel threatened that Final Fantasy VII fucking exists and is good. It's like that's fucking weird. It's weird. I don't get it. I don't get it, Montrell. I don't, man. I don't.
Well, apparently, a lot of people still feel that way. They still feel like I don't know, bro. It's a weird. It's just a weird stance to have. The fruit thing is just a weird hill to die on. Like
It is.
that.
It's very
It's.
weird.
I was watching it. I'm like, you know what game has the best fruit physics? Fucking Fruit Ninja on the cell phone. Like that game has fantastic fruit physics. It's killing everything that you guys just pointed out right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
Well, there was that take like there's because there's always like this there's like extremes, but then there's always this moment where somebody comes in and is like in the middle, and I've done this before. I'm on the middle on a lot of things, but like you posted this earlier today where this person came in and it's like, you know what, guys, why are we arguing about this? Like, there, we can say that this game has great fruit physics and then complain about crunch at the same time. Like, what the fuck? It was something along those lines, and it was just like really stupid. Like, what? Why are you even making the point? Like, obviously, like, of course we can criticize crunch. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other, but it's just like, I don't, dude. These conversations, this is why I don't post on Twitter very much, because these conversations always devolve into absolute total nonsense at a certain point, And I don't know. Like, it's just exhausting. It's like not even worth being involved with, at a certain point. So I kind of wish the government would just ban Twitter.
ban Twitter.
Just do us all a favor, or somebody like Russia would just nuke the Twitter servers wherever they are. They found out and they just nuked them, or like China just EMPs their fucking server farm. Please, please, like we would all be so much better off without this shit in our lives. It's just like it's so annoying, But I don't want to get too off track.
No, but like that's really what was my argument. I was just like, what? Well, not even an argument. It was just like what are we doing? Like, okay, like yeah. On one hand, we're complaining about crunch, but
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I just really think what that guy, when one of my followers said, was like, I don't think a lot of people realize they did this shit out of love, and I think that's what it is. Like we misconstrue like would developers do shit out of love to like or extra time they have or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
like oh this is the standard now like no someone just did that out of love for the game where they had extra time or they were in the office by themselves one night and they're like you know what I'm gonna do this shit I'm gonna put this Easter egg in here or I'm gonna put this physics in here and then I'm gonna run it by the team tomorrow see if they like it and I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty sure that's what happened with like when fruit physics first was introduced or whatever right I'm pretty sure they weren't having fucking like town hall meetings about it. Like, oh my god, okay, we're on the whiteboard here. How do you want the apple to bounce when we shoot it? Zach, go. Okay, so I was here and I was working on it and I typed up 4 pages of code and when we shoot the bullet, when you shoot a 40 caliber bullet, it goes 2 feet in the air. Compared to when you shoot a 22 long rifle bullet, it only goes 1 foot in the air. Wow. Great. That doesn't
Good
happen, guys.
work.
I'm sorry. Yeah, good
Good work,
work.
Zach.
Like that doesn't happen, guys, at all. I really wish people would understand that. But unfortunately, the only thing I remember watching a documentary on Mortal Kombat, and it was one of the earlier 3D Mortal Kombats. And the biggest hurdle they did have, which is very important to the game, was the
Mm-hmm.
blood physics. Like that's important, right? Because
Yeah, of
obviously, when you're
course.
hitting somebody, that's
Yeah.
part of the aesthetic of Mortal Kombat in the field and everything. So that was a huge issue and
It's like a
roadblock for
central
them.
conceit of the game, right?
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
fruit physics in The Last of Us Part 2 are completely irrelevant. Like they have no impact on anything the game's trying to do. Like if they weren't there, if the fruit didn't move, it wouldn't matter. Like straight up, like if you shot the basket full of fruit and nothing happened, it wouldn't fucking matter. Yeah, it would be a little immersion breaking, but like who's even gonna notice? That's my point. Unless you're like searching for it, you're not even gonna notice. So it's like the physics of like bullets hitting a wall that matters in a shooter. Like people are gonna notice that because it's gonna happen all the time, every engagement they do. But yeah, like shoot like the fucking fruit, like what the fuck? Like I guess when a grenade blows up near fruit, yeah, I guess you do want to care about that a little bit, but it's like, am I going to examine the arc of the fruit, like away from the grenade? Like, oh, well, it only went away from like a 45-degree angle to the north. It was, went about 20 feet. It should have gone for 30 feet and exploded in a giant mash of fruit. Like, no, dude, like, who fucking cares? Like, uh, I think people don't realize how cartoonishly like silly they look when they argue about this shit.
No, they don't. And that's why I choose not to engage in the arguments. It was just that was the last straw for me. I was just
Oh,
like,
I
you know
know.
what? I can't do this anymore. Like, we need to shut this shit down.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
Uh,
shut down officially. The player's take says no more. We're not talking about the fruit physics anymore. The conversation's over.
yeah, that
Done.
shit's done. Like, it's stupid.
All right.
So,
Let's move on, Montrell. We got one more thing to talk about, and that is our good buddy Dat Dude, always sending us questions. He sent us another one. So the question is: list 5 games that you personally feel are perfect games. Now, 5's a lot, so I'm gonna pare this down to like 2 probably, maybe 3. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
oh, you can go first.
Okay. Well, my first one, I mean, I've talked about this game a lot recently, is Heroes Might Magic 3. As much as like I feel like there's no game that's perfect. Every game has flaws. However, this game is as close to perfect as you can get for what it is. And it is playable to this day, and it will never not be playable in my opinion. Like it aged perfectly. Like it just is good, and it just is great. It's a great fucking game. The second game is Warcraft 3, actually, before Blizzard fucked it up. Because that game was fucking excellent. Okay, it's a fucking excellent fucking video game, And maybe the multiplayer was imbalanced at times, but the game as a whole package, the campaigns, the multiplayer, the custom games that were enabled by it, it's fucking just, it's so fucking good. And in that same vein, StarCraft is another one I want to call out. StarCraft Brood War is fucking perfection. Play it. All right, Macho. What about you? Did I give you enough time?
Yeah. So definitely Brute War for me as number one. Or not number one, but one of my favorites. I think that game is perfection. I like the campaign. I like the multiplayer. I enjoy it. The story was really compelling. Like I just enjoyed the hell out of that game. My second one is, I know it's not the perfect game, platformer, but I loved it, and I think it should be the model for going down the line. Sonic Adventure 2, shit's fucking good. Like that's a
Yeah.
good fucking game. I don't care what y'all say. It's a fucking good. Probably one of the best Sonic games I played.
It is. Yeah. It's like the only Sonic game I've ever liked. So that
Yeah.
should tell you all you need to know.
So yeah, that game, and then at the time when I played it, still holds dear to my heart is Sonic and Knuckles 3. Sonic 3 and Knuckles rather. Uh it was the first game like you can clamp together and have two games in one. It had like 16 or 17 fucking levels. It was fucking crazy. And it had a really good story for Sonic, like without words or anything like that. It was a really good story and everything like that. So I think that game's really good, or like I wouldn't say objectively perfect, but like close to perfect as a 2D Sonic game can get. I know a lot of people would give that to Mania, but Mania, like I said, I think it's just past its era for me personally. If you were to play it now, though, if you like never played the 2D Sonic, that would probably be the perfect Sonic game for you. And then I want to say JRPG wise, fuck, I'm going like either Tales of Vesperia or I'm going because that's like an action RPG.
Symphonia. Yeah, that's like those game.
Damn, I had another one that I always go back to and I play it.
JRPG?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it.
Baten Kaitos?
That's a good card action RPG or card RPG. Oh, yeah. No, it's not the best, and I know people are gonna fucking blow my head off for this one. Perfect. I don't even know if it's a JRPG if you want to call it that. Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Remix. Perfect.
Okay. That's controversial.
Yes.
Way to kick the hornet's nest. If we had a lot of Kingdom Hearts fans listening to this show, you would have just opened a can of whoop ass on everybody. Because, yeah, it was that game. That you like mentioned that game on Twitter, and dude, you're gonna get the hive. Like, bro, it's fucking crazy. Like Kingdom Hearts fans amongst themselves have fanboy wars about the different games within their own fucking franchise that they all equally fucking love. Like,
I put so many hours into that game. It's ridiculous. Even and I say final mix, I'm being nice. I didn't even have the final mix when I put hours into it. I had the original Kingdom Hearts 2. And I put hours into that shit because I absolutely loved that game. Like that game was my shit. I can pop that game in and study the fuck out of that game. And I'm gonna throw another one out there on the table, even though this is my last one. Super Smash Brothers Melee, perfect.
Oh,
I can play that game by myself for fucking hours or with friends for fucking hours. Perfect.
Yeah, set it up right now. Like, dude, if we set Melee up right now, like like a bunch of us were around and we all played, like I'd play it for hours. I can play it right now. I can play it anytime, any age, anywhere. I don't give a shit. Melee's, it's peak Smash Bros. I don't give a shit what the community says. Peak Smash Bros. Was Melee. That was it.
And I put these games because a lot of these games hold sentimental value to me. I was going through like a depression. I don't like to get super personal, but like a couple of weeks ago to like a month ago, I went through like a severe depression episode, and I popped in Sonic Adventure 2 and I played the fuck out of that game. And I was like, oh my God, this just reminded me of my childhood. I cried because it was so good. The game was just so good. I'm like, this shit's good as fuck, man. This is a good ass fucking game. Like, so that's why I consider that the pinnacle of like Sonic, right? Like, for as far as perfection, as far as Sonic Adventure 2 is that, like, I could probably, I still can pop in Kingdom Hearts 2 right now and play the fuck out of that game. If I still had Melee, I will pop that in like right now and just play it. It's too expensive to buy on eBay though.
Yeah. I have my copy still, so I mean, dude, yeah, you want to play Melee? I got it, man. I have a GameCube. I have a couple controllers, so we kick the shit out of each other. We gotta, you know what? We gotta do that soon, man. We gotta get together somewhere and do like a local game party where we play like N64 games or GameCube games or whatever, you know. And
No, yeah, we definitely need to do that.
play some oldies.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fucking fun day. So, okay, so I got two shout outs, two things I want to shout out before we go. The first one is Montrell and I were guests on the Catch Up podcast. This is our friend Dennison, who's been on this show several times at this point. He hosted along with his friend John. We were on that this week. They just released the episode, I think, a day or two ago. So go check that out. We talk about Tencent on there and dating. I think the dating scene was one of the topics as well that we talked about. We went for I don't know, a couple hours on their show. The second thing I want to shout out is I think he listens to the show still. I'm not sure, but your friend DJ. So he's been posting on Twitter a lot lately about a game he's been working on. He's working on a game, and he just released a demo for it, I think today. So you know, if go check that out, support him, because you know, some of the videos I saw of it, I mean, dude, it looks good, man.
Yeah,
So
it looks really fucking good.
keep chasing the dream, man. I you know, it's like I wish I had the time to do the same thing. And I hope that you have success with that, and it looks good, dude. So keep going with that.
And if you want to play his game, his @ is DJ, so that's DEE and JAY Hyuga, like from Naruto, so HYUGA, and it's all one word. And that's his Twitter handle. And you can also join his Discord. He has all the links there in his link tree and everything of that nature. And you can download not the current one he has, but he does have an earlier demo. I do recommend you guys play it and just give him feedback in his Discord because he's very open to. He's not like other people who hate, you know, fucking criticism. He's very open to it, in improving this game. So yeah, try it out.
All right, cool. All right, Montreal. Is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we go today?
Nope, that's it.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. If you like the show, please like the show, review the show, subscribe to the show, whatever feed you're listening to it on, and please share it with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at The Player's Take. And if you'd like to send us questions, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And that is it for us, guys. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye.